this time of year, I try to think about that transition. If you are still skiing, I think it's a great time to add a little bit of running. I tend to run throughout the summer so that I don't end up getting sore. But if you are going to be running, I think starting to run where you can, if you have the option to just run uphill, maybe you get dropped off at the bottom and take a chairlift down or a tram down, or you meet your friends for lunch at the top and they drive you back down, or you go to the treadmill and you just run uphill. I think that's a great way to use a lot of the muscles you use in skiing, but not get so sore. Or start just with some smaller runs. So start with 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and then you switch to something else. So kind of near the last 4 weeks, what I was doing is sometimes I'd run over to the trails from my house and then I'd run back. So it's about a 15-minute run from my house to where I'd get on the snowmaking loop. And that can just add a little, adding a little bit of running in there. So you're not just going to, oh, I'm going to run 30 miles this week, and that being a little bit tough. Also, great time to make sure you have new shoes. I think that's a huge injury prevention. And then I like to think that we're always going to have those days in the spring where it's beautiful and sunny, and then there's the storm days, and a great time to kind of work on some of those weaknesses in the gym and focusing on strength. So that's something that I've always embraced in the month of April, is saying, hey, I'm going to focus on some strength, especially in Minneapolis. If you still have snow up higher in the mountains, what a great time to get out and enjoy those sessions. And I think, this training period time, it's as you finish up your last set of races, I think it's good to take a little break. And I think of that as like maybe, a couple of days off, or really a couple of weeks where you're just focused on doing what your body feels like. But I love training. I don't think it's good or particularly healthy to just say, hey, I'm just going to sit on the couch for 3 or 4 weeks. So I'd maybe take 2 or 3 days off and then enjoy some of those activities that you don't do as often. Get out for some walks with the family, ride the bike, maybe do some swimming. I tried to ski as much as I could before all the grooming kind of ended in Minneapolis. And I've been out roller skiing a couple of times. I actually really like roller skiing. I Sometimes I think folks are like, oh, it's too early to start roller skiing. And I think it's important that you don't burn out on something. But personally, I find that my legs can only handle so much running, and especially when it's colder. I really like roller skiing. So don't have any fear of doing that transition. You just got to embrace it as something fun to do.
And Brian, what do you think, like this time of the year when it's kind of transition after the race season, and you have whatever, 4 to 6 weeks before the next season. So what do you think about strength? I mean, is it a good time maybe to start slightly doing more strength, or maybe even focus on some weaknesses in the strength maybe some people
I
have?
try to hit strength hard because at least my thought process is that if I get the choice after work of, okay, am I going to go to the gym or am I going to go outside? I usually decide to go outside. And so I think it's a great time to say, hey, I don't have to worry about being sore for my races. And that's kind of I've been doing maintenance strength throughout the winter, but now is a time, hey, go ahead and, sign up for that 30-day trial at the CrossFit gym. And I think you need to be careful as far as easing into not doing too much, but I don't know. I kind of like getting sore and hitting the strength pretty heavy in the month of April, especially because those gyms are super nice on those kind of rainier, muddier days. And yeah, so I think that's a great time to get after that. One of the things I've been doing a lot of is glute strength. I mean, that's something that as I'm not training as regularly, I notice the lack of strength because I make that decision to go out and ski as opposed to maybe going to the gym. And I can feel it in my double pull. I can feel it in skating. That's where you have this, this like buckling, and I guess I call it like the tottering as opposed to shifting my weight with my hips. I find that I'm kind of doing it with my shoulders, and I'll see my knees kind of coming in a little bit in photos. And so I think glute strength is a really, really important thing. You know, clamshells, the like ankle weights, bird dogs, different things that are focusing on specifically glute strength and that hip stability, just because that's such an important thing in cross country skiing, and that's where our weight transfer comes from is from the hip, and it's going to help you with your balance, and it's going to make your skiing more efficient if you have that strength. And I guess it's also going to help on that injury prevention because our body adapts. If we don't have the strength and you start using smaller muscles, we want to use those big glute muscles. And if you're using those smaller muscles, you're likely to end up a little bit more on the injury list. So, it's been really fun being a part of CXC Academy this year. I think there's a lot of great resources on the program, and so it's been fun to share some of my experiences. And uh, yeah, it's a great time to reflect on the highs and the lows of this season and make a list of what your goals are for next season. And looking forward to joining everybody and start for the next season.